Hello and welcome to part 2 of the Arabella Crochet Afghan video tutorial series. In this video we'll be taking part 1 and turning it into a completed square that's ready to be joined to our other motifs in our Afghan. For this tutorial I'm using Stylecraft Batik DK and a 4.5mm crochet hook. You'll also need scissors and a yarn needle. You'll notice for this video and in the written pattern I work this section entirely in one color. If you want to change colors, you can do that. Use standing stitches to start your rounds, or you can also slip stitch to the joining stitch and chain the appropriate number to act as the first stitch. Okay, let's get started. So we've got our part 1 ready to go, and to start part 2, we are going to begin in any one of these single crochets. Just go ahead and pick any one. I like to do the one on the opposite side from the last join. And we are going to make a standing treble. Now, I know not a lot of people like to do standing trebles, so if you want, go ahead and slip stitch to that single crochet and chain 4 to stand in as your first treble crochet. But we're going to do a standing treble, so yarn over twice, hold it in place, and insert your hook into this single crochet. And I'm going to show you a little trick that I really like to use whenever I'm making a bunch of stitches into one lone stitch like this. Instead of just grabbing the top 2 loops, I like to, with the single crochet, actually what I'm doing is splitting it. I'm doing a split single crochet. I go in between the 2 legs and insert my hook there and place my stitch there, and it gives me a little bit more of a solid base for my stitch. Okay, so now to make my standing treble, I'm going to yarn over and pull through 2, 2, and 2. There's a standing treble crochet. Now chain 1, and we're going to make treble, chain 1 3 more times. So treble into the same spot, very same single crochet, chain 1, treble, chain 1, treble, chain 1. Okay, so we should have 4 trebles with chain 1s in between, and then a chain 1 after our last. Now what we're going to do is skip this chain 1 space and skip the next 2 stitches, which are half double crochets, and we're going to make a back post single crochet around the stitch after them. So skip the chain 1, skip the first 2 half double crochets, which can be a little bit difficult to see, and make a back post single crochet around the next double crochet. And then back post single crochet around the next stitch. We're going to keep making back post single crochets. We're going to make a total of 12, so that was 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And after 6 you should be at the picot. We're going to just skip the picot for right now and keep on moving. So around the next treble, another back post single. That's 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. After 12 back post single crochets, you should have 2 half double crochets unworked. I'm going to skip them and the next chain 1 space, chain 1, and we're going to make our trebles again into this lone single crochet. So I'm going to split it again and make my treble, oops, chain 1, another treble, chain 1. We're going to do 4 trebles here, so that was 2, here's 3, and a chain 1, and treble is 4 and chain 1. Okay, now let's just keep going. Skip the chain 1 space, skip the next 2 half double crochets, and back post single crochet around the next 12 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 brings us to the picot. Skip the picot. 7, 8, 9, 10, oops, 11, and 12. And you should have 2 half double crochets left. Perfect. Chain 1, and now some more trebles. Splitting the stitch again. This is my join stitch, so it's a little harder to work into. There we go. 1 and a chain 1. 2 chain 1. So 3 trebles, chain 1, and 4 trebles, chain 1. Now skip the chain 1 space, skip the next 2 half double crochets, and make our back post single crochets. 12 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and skip the picot. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 2 half double crochets left. We'll skip them. Chain 1 and treble into the single crochet. 1 treble, chain 1, 2 trebles, chain 1, 3 chain 1, 4 chain 1. Okay, now skip those 2 half double crochets and back post single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 brings us to the picot. Skip the picot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 makes 12. Chain 1, and now we can slip stitch to that first treble to join, and I'm going to be using the same color for the rest of the rounds of this square, so I'm not going to fasten off, and that is round 8. For round 9, we're going to start by slip stitching into the next chain 1 space, and then chain 3 to count as your first double crochet. If you decide to start with a new color at this point, you can make a standing double crochet in the first chain 1 space after the first treble in any of these groups of 4 trebles. Okay, so we did our chain 3 to count as our first double crochet. We're going to make 2 more double crochets into the same space. Okay, skip the treble and then make 2 trebles into the next chain 1 space. Okay, chain 2. This is going to be your corner, and make 2 more trebles into the same chain 1 space. So all in that chain 1 space was 2 trebles, chain 2, 2 trebles. Now skip the next treble into the next chain 1 space, make 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, now skip the next treble, into the next chain 1 space, make 2 double crochets. Okay, now for these back post single crochets, we are going to skip the first one. Depending on how your stitches fit in there, it might be a little bit hidden. Mine is not hidden at all, but just be careful of it so you don't miss it. We're going to skip the first one, and into the next 2 we're going to half double crochet. So half double crochet, 1 and 2, and now we're going to make 6 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now make 2 more half double crochets. 1 and 2. And you should have 1 stitch left before the chain 1 space. Skip that stitch. Into the chain 1 space, make 2 double crochets. Alright, now that brings us back to where we started. In the next chain 1 space, make 3 double crochets. Into the next chain 1 space, make 2 trebles, chain 2, 2 more trebles. 1 treble, 2 trebles, chain 2, and 2 more trebles. Okay, into the next chain 1 space, 3 double crochets. Into the next chain 1 space, 2 double crochets. Okay, skip the next back post single crochet, make sure it's not hidden under your work. Half double crochet in the next 2 back post single crochets. Now do 6 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 2 half doubles. 1 and 2. Skip that last stitch before the chain 1 space, and into the chain 1 space make 2 double crochets. Okay, that brings us back to the beginning of our pattern repeat again. So go ahead and do that 2 more times to bring yourself all the way around to the beginning. Skip that last back post single crochet and make 2 double crochets into that last chain 1 space, and then slip stitch to the first double crochet, or the chain 3 that we made to join, and that is round 9. Round 10 is going to be very, very easy. We're just going to put on a very basic round of half double crochets. So the first thing I want you to do is chain 2 to count as your first half double crochet. If you're starting with new yarn, you can do a standing half double crochet in, any stitch you want, and just work half double crochets across the side. So I've got my 2 chain 2 to sub as my half double crochet. I'm going to half double crochet in each stitch across to the corner, and in the corner we're going to make 2 half double crochets, chain 2, and then 2 more half double crochets. So 1, 2, chain 2, and 2 more. 1, 2. And then all you really need to do is half double crochet in each stitch across the side. Make the corners all the same way, 2 half double crochets, chain 2, 2 half double crochets, And when you get back to the first stitch, just slip stitch to join. Very, very easy round. For our final round of Motif A, round 11, we are going to put on some single crochets, but we're also going to pin down these picots that have just been sticking up doing nothing so far. We're going to pin them down and make them look really nice. So let's start out by chaining 1 and make a single crochet into that very first stitch, and then single crochet in each stitch across to the corner. If you're starting with new yarn for this round, what you might want to do is start in the corner. So you could do a standing single crochet in the corner. For us, we are going to single crochet in the corner, chain 2, and then single crochet again. Now, what we're going to do on the next side is we're going to skip the first half double crochet. And we're going to do this because we need to get our stitch counts right for joining. We're also going to do it here because half double crochets, the way that they're shaped, make them really easy to skip the first one after a chain space. So we're going to skip that first half double crochet and we're going to make 13 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. Now that should put us in the middle of our square. The next stitch will be the very, very middle of our square. Before we work into it, what I want you to do is insert your hook into the center of the picot. To do that, I like to put my finger behind the picot, and there's not a great way to do this other than just stab your hook in there. It kind of finds the center on its own. Okay, just stab your hook in there and it should find the center of the picot pretty easily. Then put your hook through the top 2 loops of the next stitch and pull up a loop through both of those and complete your single crochet. Then just keep on working single crochets. There should be 13 more before the next corner. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And I like to watch my counts very, very carefully on the last round especially, because I want those stitches to be the right number so that when I join, everything matches up really easily. So now in my next corner, I'll do a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet, skip that first half double crochet. Might be a little bit hidden under your stitch. If you pull your single crochet to the side, you can see that half double crochet. That one you can skip. Into the next half double crochet, we're going to single crochet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, I'm going to show you this one more time. We are going to insert our hook into the center of the picot. So my finger goes behind the picot just to support it, and I just push my hook right through the center, and it finds its way. Then under the top 2 loops of the next half double crochet that's behind the picot, pull a loop through both and complete my single crochet. and then just continue single crocheting across. So go ahead and do that 2 more times, and finish your single crochets up to your first stitch, and we are going to join with an invisible join, and I'll show you how to do that in just a second. So to finish this round, we're going to do an invisible join. So finish your single crochets, and then cut your yarn, which my yarn is already cut because I got distracted the first time I tried to record this. So cut your yarn, and then don't chain, don't fasten off, don't do anything. Just pull the yarn through and then thread it onto a needle. Now find the first single crochet, which is this one right here. This is my chain space that I started with. This is the first single crochet. Go to the second single crochet and insert your needle under the top 2 loops. Pull the yarn through that. Now go back to your last single crochet and go under the back loop, and I like to go under the loop that is behind the back loop. Sometimes you call it the third loop. Go under those 2 loops, pull the yarn through, and now just sort of get the tension right so that those 2 loops now become the top 2 loops of your first single crochet, and everything blends together. So what this does is makes it really, really easy. That you can tell or you can't tell actually, that there's an obvious join here, and that makes it really easy when we're going to join our motifs together because our stitch counts will line up perfectly. So now that you've got those loops, the tension just right on those, you can take your yarn, and it'll stay loose until you weave it in. So just go ahead and weave that yarn under the base of these single crochets. I like to go under a few this way, and then hook around one of the legs on the back of the single crochet, and go back the other way past my join, then I go a few more this way, and make sure the tension's right, and then weave back. I usually weave back once more just to make sure everything is nice and secure on this outside loop, or outside round. Okay, so that's good for that one. And while we're here, we might as well weave in this last end, and then we'll be done. So this last end goes really well under these stitches here. That's the back of those 2 double crochets, and then I kind of just find a spot to weave it under this round here. So I don't go under the back post stitches because they're a little, they're harder to work under. So I go under the next round that is full of single crochets and half double crochets. It's really easy to just work right under the base of those stitches. And I just go once and then turn, hooking that yarn around one of the loops. I turn and I go back the other way. You can always check the front to make sure your needle's not showing through too much. Just a few more to be secure. That looks good. And then get the tension right on that. Clip the end, and we are done with Motif A.